Well, hello there to all of you who listen to us, and welcome to another episode by the Dog Mind Gears podcast.
Yeah, hi everyone. It's great to be here for this one.
So, I want you to picture a scenario for a second. You are walking through your kitchen, just a normal Tuesday evening,
Just a regular night.
right? And you pass by your sweet, loving family dog. I mean, the one who literally sleeps at the foot of your bed
Yeah.
every single night. The one who brings you their favorite, torn up stuffed animal when you get home from work.
The good boy, basically.
Exactly. So they're eating their dinner, but as you step near the bowl, something just shifts. The rhythmic sound of that crunching kibble, it suddenly stops.
Oh, that sudden silence is so jarring.
It is. As they freeze, their body goes completely rigid, their head drops low over the bowl, they bare their teeth, and they let out this low, menacing rumble from deep in their chest.
Yeah, it's a scary moment.
It's terrifying. And honestly, it kind of hurts your feelings, right?
Right.
Because you provide everything for this dog, and in a split second, they are treating you like a literal threat to their survival.
Which is incredibly hard not to take personal.
Oh, absolutely. So welcome to today's deep dive. We are talking about canine food aggression, or what the behavioral world calls resource guarding.
It's a huge topic.
It really is. And our mission today is to dig into the research to figure out exactly why dogs do this. And spoiler alert here, they are not trying to be the alpha of your household.
Definitely not. That is such a common myth.
Right. So we're going to break down the vet-approved, science-backed methods to rewire your dog's brain and, bring peace back to mealtime.
Which is completely possible, by the way.
For sure. Okay, let's unpack this, because to solve the problem, we first have to learn how to speak our dog's language of fear.
Framing this as a language is actually the perfect place to start. Because when a dog guards their food, they are essentially viewing that kibble as this highly valuable, very scarce prize.
Like it's the last meal on earth.
Exactly. In that moment, they are terrified that you are going to take it away. It is not about dominance, and it's certainly not a power play. It is about deep, primal insecurity.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah. And what the behavioral literature makes incredibly clear is that a dog doesn't just, spontaneously decide to bite out of nowhere.
They don't just snap.
No, not at all. There is an entire escalation of warning signs, like a very specific vocabulary that they use to communicate their discomfort long before it ever gets dangerous.
And breaking down those signs into categories is just so helpful for visualizing what is actually happening in real time.
It really is. It changes how you see them.
Right. Because the research categorizes the very first tier as mild signs.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people just miss these entirely because they are so subtle,
Oh, almost everyone misses them.
Yeah. Like, for instance, you walk into the room and your dog suddenly starts eating much faster. Or their body gets very stiff and they lower their head deeply over the bowl, kind of curving their spine.
Like they're hovering over it.
Exactly. They're essentially trying to use their own body mass as a physical barrier.
Yeah. And you'll also see something called a whale eye in this mild stage.
What was that?
So this is when the dog keeps their head pointed down at the bowl, but they track your movement with their eyes, so they're exposing the white parts of the eye.
Oh, wow. I've definitely seen dogs do that.
Yeah, it is a classic sign of canine anxiety. And if those mild signs are ignored, usually because the human simply didn't notice them or just kept walking closer, the communication gets louder.
Right. They have to turn up the volume.
Exactly. We move into the moderate signs. This is where the tension becomes pretty undeniable. The dog might lift a lip to flash some teeth.
Which is terrifying.
It is. And you hear that low, rumbling growl we talked about. They might even snap at the air, like deliberately missing you, but clearly saying, I'm incredibly uncomfortable. You need to back away right now.
Right. And if we still don't listen, we hit the severe red flags. The literature describes a hard, fixed stare, which, that is absolutely chilling when your own dog does it to you.
It's very intense.
Yeah. Their ears pinned completely flat against their head, and finally they resort to lunging, biting, or, physically chasing you out of the room to defend the resource.
Okay, what part?
Because everything in human nature screams the absolute opposite. Like, if my dog growls at me in my own kitchen over food that I bought, my immediate instinct is, anger.
Of course, that's a very normal human reaction.
Right. I want to step forward and correct it. I want to show them who's boss and shut that disrespect down immediately. So why are we being told to back away and never punish the growl?
This raises an important question, and it's honestly the exact hurdle that trips up so many well-meaning dog owners.
Mm.
We have to look at the underlying mechanics of what a growl actually is.
Okay.
As we establish, this behavior is an emotional response rooted in fear, right?
Yeah.
So a growl is basically a pressure release valve. It is your dog's built-in warning system.
Mhm.
They are using their words to say, I am scared, please give me space.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so if you punish that growl, if you yell, or physically correct the dog, or, forcefully take the bowl away to prove a point, you do absolutely nothing to cure the underlying fear of losing their food.
You're just adding to the fear.
Exactly. All you do is teach the dog that warning you is a dangerous mistake.
Wow. So by yelling at them, we are effectively training them to become silent biters.
That is exactly the unintended consequence. You haven't made the dog feel any less anxious about your presence near their food. In fact, you've just confirmed their absolute worst fears.
Because you did take the food away or you did yell.
Right. You've proven that you are a threat and that when you approach, bad things happen. So the next time you walk by while they are eating, they remember that growling gets them punished.
So they just skip it entirely.
Yes. They will just skip the warning entirely and go straight to a bite. Punishing a growl creates a highly unpredictable, dangerous animal because you've essentially removed the ticker from the time bomb.
That is such a good analogy.
The absolute best thing you can do when you see these early signs, even if it's just over a toy, or a bone or a dog bed, is to respect the communication and just give them space.
That is such a crucial paradigm shift.
Yeah.
Like a growl is information, not a failure. It is them asking for distance.
Exactly. It's communication.
And if we recognize those early signs, we can prevent a massive physical altercation down the line. But what if this behavior just pops up out of nowhere?
Yes, sudden onset.
Right, because if I suddenly started aggressively guarding my plate at a restaurant, throwing my arms over my pasta and snapping at the waiter, you would assume I was either completely losing my mind or that I was in severe physical pain.
That is a perfect comparison. When a dog suddenly develops food aggression out of the blue, the very first place we look is the medical side.
Always go to the vet first.
Always. There's some fascinating modern research on this, specifically this comprehensive 2018 study that examined the link between physical pain and sudden onset aggression in dogs.
Oh, wow. What did they find?
The researchers found that dogs suffering from musculoskeletal pain, so things like arthritis, hip dysplasia, or even just hidden joint issues, they showed significantly higher rates of aggression, specifically around guarding their food and their resting spaces.
Which makes total logical sense, right?
Right.
If your joints are throbbing and you are in chronic pain, you are going to feel incredibly vulnerable.
Exactly. You're already hurting.
And you are already in this compromised stationary position when you eat. The last thing you want is someone bumping into you or like trying to move you.
Right. Dental pain is another massive culprit here.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. If a dog has an abscessed tooth or a sore mouth, the physical act of eating is already uncomfortable and stressful. So when you approach, their stress just compounds.
It's just too much for them to handle.
Yeah. And the data also points to underlying internal illnesses. Things like brain tumors, which actually alter cognitive function, or thyroid imbalances, which can drastically skew a dog's mood and reactivity.
So it's not always just a training issue.
Not at all. Sudden aggression always warrants an immediate trip to the veterinarian. You have to rule out pain or sickness before you even attempt behavioral training because, well, you cannot train away a toothache.
You cannot train away a toothache. I love that. Okay, so let's say the vet gives a completely clean bill of health. What about the dogs who aren't in pain?
Right, the behavioral cases.
Yeah. Are some dogs just born with this guarding instinct? Because you hear all the breed stereotypes, right? Like terriers were bred for hundreds of years to independently hunt and kill prey so they can be highly possessive of their catch.
Sure, absolutely.
Or, herding dogs are bred to be hyper alert to environmental threats and control movement. So how much of this is just like baked into a dog's DNA?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture of behavioral genetics, research does suggest that the tendency to guard resources can be inherited.
Okay, so it is partly genetic.
Yes. Some dogs naturally have a higher baseline of anxiety or vigilance, but, and this is key, a genetic tendency is absolutely not a destiny.
Okay, I like that.
Think of genetics as setting the baseline temperature of a dog's anxiety. The environment is the thermostat that decides if that anxiety actually boils over into aggressive behavior.
That's a great way to picture it.
The environment plays an overwhelming role in shaping whether a dog feels secure enough to ignore those genetic impulses or stressed enough to act on them.
I want to bring up the story of Benji here from the sources because it perfectly illustrates that exact dynamic.
Oh, the Benji case is classic.
It really is. So Benji is this sweet, friendly collie mix. He lived with a family and had zero issues with his food at home. You could walk past him, pet him while he ate. Nothing. Complete security.
A totally relaxed dog.
Right. But then his family had to change their work schedules, and they started taking Benji to this massive doggy daycare facility. And this particular facility used communal food bowls, like literally tossing kibble into large troughs for up to 25 dogs at a time.
Which is just, I mean, a communal feeding setup for 25 dogs is essentially a gladiator arena for resources.
It really sounds like it.
It is a sensory nightmare for a dog.
It sounds so chaotic. Benji was suddenly thrown in this highly stressful, competitive environment just to get his daily calories. There were bigger dogs hovering, dogs pushing each other out of the way.
It's pure survival mode.
Exactly. He quickly learned that if he didn't tense up, eat incredibly fast, and fight for his space, he was going to starve. And the heartbreaking part is, he internalized that trauma.
It stayed with him.
Yeah. When he went back home to his quiet kitchen, that panic stayed with him. He started resource guarding his solitary bowl from his own family, and later became highly reactive toward other dogs if food was anywhere nearby. His environment just completely broke his psychological sense of security.
And, you know, the most telling part of Benji's case is how it was ultimately resolved.
Right, because they fixed it.
They did. And the solution wasn't some intense disciplinary boot camp to reestablish dominance, right? The solution was entirely environmental management.
They just changed his surroundings.
Exactly. His family pulled him out of that chaotic daycare and found a smaller facility that fed every dog in separate closed kennels. And at home, they moved his food bowl out of the busy kitchen and into a quiet, low-traffic laundry room.
Oh, just give him some peace.
Yeah. They removed the competition, the anxiety faded, and he realized he didn't have to fight anymore. Sometimes just changing the setup is the kindest, most effective, and honestly fastest fix.
The takeaway there is so clear. If behavior changes suddenly, go to the vet. And always audit your dog's environment to see how it might be impacting their baseline stress.
Absolutely.
But let's move to the next phase here.
Yeah.
Gone to the vet. The dog is physically healthy. The environment at home is totally stable and quiet. But the dog is still growling over their kibble.
Okay, the ingrained behavioral cases.
Right. Here's where it gets really interesting. How do we actually go into a dog's brain and rewire this behavior? The literature details a concept called counterconditioning, and it provides two specific, vet-approved techniques that rely on this.
Yeah, so counterconditioning is the absolute gold standard in modern behavioral science. And it is so important to understand the goal here. The goal is not to force the dog to simply tolerate you standing there and taking their food.
Right, we aren't just pushing through it.
No. The goal is to fundamentally change their underlying emotional response to your presence while they eat. We want to flip the script entirely. We want your footsteps approaching the bowl to predict something wonderful happening, rather than predicting a loss.
And the first technique to achieve this is called the 3-second rule. Mechanically, it sounds incredibly simple.
It is, yeah.
Your dog is eating from their bowl. You approach, but you only approach to a distance where the dog is still completely relaxed. Like if they stiffen up at 10 feet away, you stop at 12 feet.
You have to find that threshold.
Right. And from that safe distance, you toss a super high-value treat right near their bowl, and then you immediately turn around and walk away. And by high value, we mean something astronomically better than dry kibble. We are talking about pieces of roasted chicken, hot dogs, or real cheese. You just toss it and leave.
Just drop the jackpot and go.
Yes. And over days and weeks, you gradually decrease the distance.
The brilliance of the 3-second rule lies in the fact that you are taking absolutely nothing away. You are only adding immense value.
You're just a cheese delivery service.
Exactly. The dog's brain slowly starts to process a completely new pattern. Oh wait, a human approaching my bowl doesn't mean my food is being stolen. It means a magical piece of roasted chicken is about to fall from the sky and then the human leaves me alone to eat it.
It's brilliant. And the second technique is called the trade-up game. This one is usually played with items rather than a food bowl, right?
Yeah, exactly, for toys or bones.
Right, so you offer your dog a low-value item, maybe a slightly boring chew toy. You ask them to drop it or trade. When they drop the boring toy, you immediately hand them a massive jackpot reward, that high-value cheese or chicken. But here is the critical mechanism that makes this work. After they finish the amazing treat, you give the original boring toy back to them. You don't walk away with it.
That last step is the entire secret.
Why is that so important?
Well, when you give the item back, you are shattering the dog's zero-sum mindset. In a resource guarder's mind, the universe has a finite amount of good things. If you have the bone, they don't have the bone. It's a loss.
Oh, wow.
Right. But by giving it back, they learn that yielding an item to a human isn't a tax where they lose their capital. It's an investment. They get paid a massive dividend of cheese, and they still get to keep their original asset.
That is so clever. But okay, I have to ask the question that is inevitably screaming in the back of everyone's mind right now.
Go for it.
It just feels completely counterintuitive. Like if my dog is tense, hovering over a bowl, giving me a hard stare, and I toss them a piece of delicious roasted chicken. Aren't I just rewarding the aggression? Aren't I literally paying them a piece of cheese to growl at me?
What's fascinating here is that modern brain science completely debunks that worry. You really have to look at what is physically happening inside the dog's head.
Okay, lay it on me.
Studies utilizing MRI scans on canine brains have shown us exactly how this works. When a dog feels threatened and goes into a guarding state, their amygdala, the fear center of the brain, lights up. The brain is flooded with cortisol and adrenaline.
It's fight or flight mode.
Exactly. And when the brain is in that biochemical state of panic, the prefrontal cortex, which handles logical learning, essentially shuts down completely.
Wow. So a scared brain cannot learn. A scared brain just survives.
Exactly. They aren't learning anything in that moment. Now, when you toss that amazing high-value treat, the olfactory receptors pick up the scent of the chicken. This triggers the release of dopamine and other positive feel-good chemicals in the brain.
Okay.
And dopamine biochemically overrides cortisol. A brain literally cannot be in a state of sheer panic and a state of joyful anticipation at the exact same time.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Right. You aren't rewarding the growl because you cannot reinforce an involuntary emotion like fear with food. You are fundamentally changing the emotional state from fear to happiness. Happy brains learn.
Wow.
By consistently pairing your presence with a dopamine spike, the fear physically dissolves from the neural pathways, and the aggressive behavior just disappears with it because the dog no longer feels the need to defend themselves.
That is a staggering paradigm shift.
Yeah.
You aren't teaching them a trick. You are literally altering their brain chemistry.
Yes, exactly.
But we also have to be realistic here. What happens if the situation is already severe? What if tossing a piece of cheese just isn't enough to keep a household safe? Especially in a home with, say, unpredictable toddlers who don't understand the 3-second rule. Let's look at the advanced management side of things, because the reality is bites do happen.
Yeah, they do. And safety has to be the absolute non-negotiable priority. If a dog has a history of severe guarding or has, already bitten a human or another pet, you cannot just rely on tossing treats and hoping you don't step too close.
Right. It's too risky.
You have to implement strict management tools to prevent the dog from ever having the opportunity to practice the dangerous behavior while you work on that long-term counter-conditioning.
We see several specific physical tools recommended for this phase. Using a properly fitted basket muzzle during training sessions is a major one, right?
Muzzles are fantastic tools.
Yeah, because it allows the dog to pant normally, drink water, and easily accept those high-value treats we're tossing, but it completely protects human hands from a potential bite. Another tool is keeping a lightweight leash on the dog indoors.
Just a drag line.
Right. This means if they steal a forbidden item, you can step on the leash or gently guide them away without ever having to reach your hands toward their mouth and risk a severe bite. And of course, baby gates to physically separate the dog in another room while they eat.
It is so important to reframe how we view these tools. A muzzle or a baby gate is not a punishment. It is a temporary safety net.
It's just management.
Exactly. It creates a controlled environment where you can practice those counter-conditioning exercises without the underlying tension of human fear. Because, look, if you are terrified your dog is going to bite you, your dog will smell that stress, which elevates their own stress.
It's a vicious cycle.
Right. So tools set both the human and the dog up to succeed without the risk of a catastrophic failure.
I also want to touch on medication. Veterinary prescribed anxiety medication is often brought up for severe cases. And I think there's a real stigma there.
Oh, a massive stigma.
Yeah. Some people view medication as a cop-out. They think, oh, you're just putting a chemical Band-Aid on the dog so you don't have to put in the hard work to train them.
That stigma is incredibly harmful, and the behavioral experts reframe this beautifully. Medication is never a cure on its own. You don't just give a pill and the guarding magically stops.
Right.
However, for dogs with extreme genetically ingrained fear or just deep trauma, their baseline stress level is simply too high. Think of it like trying to teach a student advanced calculus while a deafening fire alarm is blaring right in their ear.
They can't focus on the math.
No, they just want to escape the noise.
Yeah.
The medication acts to lower the volume of that internal fire alarm. It brings their baseline anxiety down to a manageable level where the positive reinforcement training, the cheese, the trade-up games, can actually penetrate the brain and take effect.
Oh, so it just enables the learning.
Exactly. It's a tool for healing, heavily monitored by a veterinarian, and always used in conjunction with a full behavior modification program.
That is so helpful. There are also some very specific, non-negotiable rules for severe scenarios in the literature. Take dog-directed food aggression, where your dog is perfectly fine with you, but will aggressively attack your other dogs if food is present.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
The management rule here is absolute. Always feed them in completely separate rooms behind closed, solid doors. And never, ever leave empty food bowls lying around the kitchen, because a highly anxious dog will guard an empty bowl just as fiercely as a full one.
Because the empty bowl still represents the concept of the resource. Management really does prevent tragedy.
Right. And when it comes to children, the guidance is incredibly strict. Children move unpredictably, they make loud noises, and they don't understand canine body language. Children should never be allowed near a dog when it is eating or chewing a bone.
Never. It's just not worth the risk.
In a home with a resource guarder, the dog needs to eat in a locked room or a crate, completely isolated from the chaos of the household. The risk of a child ignoring a stiff posture or a whale eye and getting bitten in the face is just way too high. In these severe cases, bringing in a certified professional dog trainer who uses positive reinforcement or, a veterinary behaviorist is strongly recommended to guide the family safely.
It's also worth noting how modern technology is stepping in to assist with this management phase, which is incredibly helpful for busy households.
Yes, the pet cameras. I thought this was such a clever application of everyday tech.
It really is. For a highly anxious, traumatized dog, even the sight of you standing silently across the room watching them eat can trigger their guarding instincts. They literally feel the pressure of your stare.
Wow.
So, pet cameras allow you to put the bowl down, leave the room entirely, and monitor their meals from your phone in the living room. You ensure they're eating safely without adding an ounce of social pressure.
That's brilliant.
And automatic feeders are another brilliant tool mentioned in the literature. If a dog's resource guarding is rooted in severe food insecurity, maybe they were a stray who had to scavenge an automatic feeder, dispenses precise meals at the exact same time every single day.
Building that consistency.
Yes.
Yeah.
That absolute mechanical predictability builds a routine. The dog learns that food is plentiful, reliable, and entirely disconnected from human intervention, which naturally lowers their panic around resources.
So what does this all mean? As we bring this deep dive to a close, the big overarching summary from all the behavioral science is that fixing canine food aggression is fundamentally a journey of patience.
Absolutely.
There is no overnight fix, and there's no alpha rolling your way out of it. And for those listening who have young dogs displaying these behaviors, the research is crystal clear. Puppies will not simply grow out of it.
No, they won't.
In fact, ignoring resource guarding in a puppy guarantees it will solidify into a much more dangerous, ingrained problem in an adult dog. The goal here is steady progress, not instant perfection.
Yeah.
You are systematically rebuilding trust, one meal and one piece of cheese at a time.
If I can leave you with one final thought to mull over, it's this. Today, we've broken down how a dog's aggressive, terrifying, menacing growl is rarely an actual challenge to our authority.
Right.
Instead, it is almost always a vulnerable, desperate plea for space, driven by deep-seated fear and insecurity about their own survival. If we can learn to pause, step back, and interpret that aggressive display as fear in our pets, how might that change the way we view the world around us?
Oh, wow.
How might it change the way we interpret defensive, hostile, or seemingly aggressive reactions in the humans in our lives? When someone snaps at us or guards their own resources, their time, their territory, their ideas, how often is that human anger just a mask for underlying fear?
Wow. That is a brilliant point to end on. The exact same psychology applies across species. When someone snaps at us, maybe they aren't trying to dominate us. Maybe they just need a little space, a little grace, and some counter-conditioning of their own.
Exactly.
To try some of these things at home, we recommend to visit Dogazilla magazine and open the original article to read while you trying step-by-step all examples. For more information or questions, we suggest to redirect to the online dog park for curious pet parents at dogzilla.com, as we were inspired by their article and they are the experts. Hopefully we caused your mind gears to rotate and work properly and had fun while we were together. Until next time, hi, hello, and goodbye to all. Ha ha ha. Bye all.